Hello and welcome everyone to Magius Plays. Last time we finished up with Metroid 2, and now we're getting into the fan-made remake of the game, AM2R, which stands for Another Metroid 2 Remake. I first came across this game I first heard about it from a co-worker, and then I actually saw the game played when Nakatili did his Let's Play of it. And this is a beautifully done remake of the original Metroid 2. Well, it's still not the ultimate Metroid experience. It is perhaps the closest that we are going to get in the foreseeable future. While it stays very true to the original Metroid 2, it also makes some changes that came to the series later on in the series' life cycle. It also adds a few innovations that weren't there originally. The game is based on the Metroid Fusion engine, which gives you the same sort of jumping mechanics, and lets you do a few things you couldn't do in the original game. Overall, all of that feels very well tuned to what the original game was trying to do. Go. Just needed to remember which button actually activated the missiles, so that when we get to the Metroid at the end of this path, yes, this is just like the original Metroid 2, there is a Metroid here. I am ready to shoot it out of the air. I forgot that this changed the missile doors to only requiring one missile, but he did change the save points to actually refill your health and ammo when you use them. Something that wasn't done on any of the previous Metroid games, but which makes the experience all the better. And here we have our first Alpha Metroid. Unlike the original game, this actually has little callouts throughout the game for the Metroids and the areas that you find them in. Alpha Metroids, just like the last game, are pretty easy to deal with. You also have the Power Grip, which actually does help solve one of the issues that was introduced with the original, or with Metroid Zero mission. You had that in there, you have it here now. Still doesn't show up in Super Metroid, which is a little bit of an issue. Anyways, finished up here, and now we're getting ready to head into the next area. Now, in my previous video, where I was talking about leading up to this game, I said that this is the game Nintendo did not want released. Well, even though the guy designing this worked on it for 4 years, once he finished it up and actually released it on the internet, Nintendo sent him a cease and desist saying, "You can't do this. You have to take it down." Of course, he'd already posted it online, so it's still out there for anyone who wants it to find. But he couldn't officially support it himself anymore. So, he took it down off his site, and now you have to do a search online for it if you want to find it. Not very hard to do, but it's a little more problematic. Here's the first enemy that is significantly changed from Metroid 2. You have these fish things that, just like Metroid 2, are falling down from above. You can take the fish things themselves out, but they just keep spawning until you take out the thing they're spawning from. Not much of a problem, but it makes it a little more interesting to deal with. On the other hand, it makes it easier to farm health and missiles off of them, so that's not a bad thing. Not that you really need to do that. But with the save points all refilling everything, just like with the rest of the Metroid series, this is not going to be a 100% run. I don't know where everything is, and some things I do know are just a pain in the butt to try to get, so I am not going to be going for those. However, as always, I am going to be giving you showing you how I generally play through these areas, so you can see how my experience with the game is. Another of the things he did with this game is he gave each of the areas a bit more definition. Each area has a very distinct design to it, and has its own lore associated with it. As you can see, you can still wall jump around, but unlike the later games, it's pretty difficult to get up very high with just jumping around. Missile tanks also have been reduced to better close, or more closely fit the number of missiles you get in the rest of the series. And everything can drop health and missiles now. You're no longer dealing with some enemies that drop health, some enemies that just drop missiles, and trying to remember which is which. Here we have another bit of a change to the game, with the introduction of these crystal switches. There aren't very many of them scattered around the game, but every time you hit a switch, move something later on. Mostly you have to deal with it in here. A little bit of a combination puzzle there. With only 3 options, it's not that hard to figure out. That moves that, which lets you get another energy tank. But yes, that does mean there are a lot more energy tanks in this game than in other games in the series. Over here, you can just jump down and go right back to where we started. But we're not going to do that. You can see there's more area up there, but we can't quite get to that yet. We have 4 Metroids in here. As you can see by that, the first one we're dealing with is going to be in this area. You can change that marker to show either the number of Metroids total, or just the number of Metroids in this area. Here we have the Spider Ball. No faster than it was before. That does help get us around a lot more easily than just jumping about on our own. So, since the Metroid wasn't in there, it has to be up here somewhere. Maybe here? Yep. That's still pretty easy, so let's see what else we can find in here. I don't think there's going to be much to see. Yeah, curve around here. Well, there's definitely something up there. But more importantly, we have a missile pack here. Is there anything else we need to worry about? I don't think so, but always worth checking. Well, whether there is or not, we're not getting anywhere in there now. Still have a little ways to go exploring in there. So let's just get back over there right quick. Not sure if that was more good or bad. Either way, I'll take it. Now, this is kind of an interesting puzzle to get through. Essentially, you need to bomb each level, bomb jump your way up, bomb the next bit, and that's how you get through it. A little bit tricky, but not too bad. Now here we have our first gray door, which ties in with this little statue here. Not much we can do about that right now. But eventually we'll be able to come back to it and take care of it. And instead of the ice beam being here, we have the charge beam. This wasn't introduced until Super Metroid. And charge it up. You deal a good amount of damage to the enemies that you are dealing with. This also adds in the essentially the suction feature that it had in the Metroid Prime series, which lets you use it to pull power-ups to you that are out of reach. Not something that's hugely needed in this series, but it is kind of nice. Now, we've still got Metroids to find. Let's go up here. Save and refill everything. And go back to exploring that last area. Unfortunately, well, never mind. Not quite to that point yet. Like there. Couldn't really get to that. Charge up a shot. It pulls it right to you. Now, heading in here. And we do indeed have another Metroid to deal with. And perhaps more than one, given the number of Metroids we have left, and this is pretty much the only area we haven't been to yet. This tells us that we are now in the Metroid breeding grounds. Essentially, this was designed to help the Metroids grow and basically be healthy. They are scattered all throughout this area. That was a little trickier than I'd like, but we got through it. That's Metroid 1 for the area. And here is Metroid 2. Now, unlike the original Metroid 2, these Metroids have a little bit of intelligence to how they move around. They'll try to come at you with their protected areas in your line of fire, and they'll actively try to dodge some of your shots. These early ones aren't really all that good at it, but doesn't mean that they're not trying to do that. Which means you need to use a bit more advanced tactics in trying to take them out. That takes care of all the Metroids in this area. Let's just get back to a save point. And call it there, I think. There we go. And that will wrap things up for the first episode of AM2R. Tune in next time when we leave this area and get a bit of a nasty surprise. Until then, Magius out.